It always starts the same way. A packed arena. A nervous young man in an expensive suit. Cameras breathing down his neck. Family whispering prayers. Fans screaming for names they've never actually met. And then a single envelope is opened. The end. But the truth? The truth is far stranger, far darker, and far more unpredictable. Why is it that some players, everyone is sure, will become superstars, simply disappear into obscurity? Why do other players, who barely had a college highlight reel to their name, suddenly become legends? And most importantly, who actually decides the fate of these athletes? Because believe it or not, sometimes, a player's career depends on a data analyst who the public will never see, or a scout whose judgment was shaped by a single 10-minute conversation in a hotel hallway. Today, we dive into how the NFL draft really works, not the polished TV version, but the machine behind the machine. The scouting, the psychological testing, the secret meetings, the panic trades, the billion-dollar politics, and the careers that rise and fall, based on decisions made in boardrooms. We're going to break it all down through 3 major points, just to keep the story clean. Point 1. The secret scouting economy. How players get evaluated long before the draft even begins. Point 2. The combine and the mind games. Why the interviews matter more than the 40-yard dash. Point 3. Draft day chaos. Trades, last-second decisions, and why the draft rarely goes as planned. But before we jump into those, let me ask you this. If the NFL draft is supposed to be the fair, structured gateway into the league, why do so many players slip through the cracks? Why do Hall of Famers like Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Jason Kelce, and Shannon Sharpe get drafted late or not at all? And why do some first-round can't-miss athletes flame out in less than 2 seasons? It's not random. It's a system. And today, you're about to see how it actually works from the inside out. Point 1. The secret scouting economy. From the outside, it looks simple. College athletes play games, NFL scouts watch them, and then they get drafted, right? Not even close. The reality begins years earlier sometimes when a player is just 15 or 16. NFL scouting departments run like quiet intelligence agencies. Each team has anywhere from 7 to 15 scouts assigned to specific regions of the country. They drive thousands of miles, attend forgotten games, slip into practices unannounced, and watch athletes before anyone else even cares. Take Josh Allen, for example. In high school, he wasn't a 5-star recruit. He wasn't even a 2-star. He was invisible. No one wanted him except for a single junior college coach who believed there was something there. Something raw but powerful. That small belief got Allen in front of the right set of eyes. And those eyes reported back to NFL teams that they might be dealing with something unique. That's how scouting works. Decades of gut instinct, mixed with film study, analytics, and thousands of handwritten notes. Scouts evaluate everything: body type, mechanics, personality, leadership, family background, work ethic, and yes, how they handle pressure when nobody is looking. And here's where the mystery deepens. Each team sees the same player completely differently. One team might see a future franchise quarterback. Another might see a project with low accuracy. Another sees 2 independent, possible ego risk. Same player. 3 different stories. Do you know who controls this entire scouting economy? Not the head coach. Not the GM. It's the director of college scouting and the small scouting team behind closed doors. Their evaluations decide if a kid even enters the conversation. Yet here's the craziest part. Sometimes, a player's entire draft value changes because of one tiny moment. Maybe a scout sees him stay late after practice. Maybe he overhears how a teammate describes him. Maybe the player holds the door open for someone when he doesn't know a scout is watching. Yes, these things get written into reports, and you have to ask, how many careers were built or destroyed because of one tiny detail? Now let's move into the second part. The part fans love, but almost always misunderstand. Point 2. The combine and the mind games. So now that scouts have spent years building files thicker than a dictionary, most people think the NFL combine is the moment that seals a player's fate. The lights, the 40-yard dash, the bench press, the vertical jump. It looks like a superhero audition, and fans eat it up every single year. But here's the truth most people don't realize. The NFL Combine is not really about physical tests. It's about psychological warfare. Let me give you a picture. A young athlete walks in heart pounding, palms sweating. He's spent his entire life preparing for this moment. Suddenly, he's surrounded by 32 teams, each with their own strategy, their own questions, their own traps. The physical testing? Sure, coaches like seeing a fast 40 time. They like seeing a strong bench press. But they already know if a player is fast or strong just from film. The real decisions happen in the rooms you never see. Closed-door interviews, one-on-one interrogations, medical evaluations that go deeper than some criminal background checks. Let's talk about the interviews, because this is where dreams get shaped or shattered. Teams ask questions like, do you love football? Or do you love what football gives you? What's the biggest mistake you've made? Name something you fear. Who are you without the sport? But the real trick? Teams don't care what you say, they care how you react. A GM once said, I don't need the right answer. I need your real answer. Sometimes they'll intentionally confuse the player. They'll ask him about a specific play from his college career, but purposely get the down and distance wrong to see if he corrects them. Confidence? Arrogance? Insecurity? They're studying everything. Remember when Des Bryant was asked a wildly inappropriate question about his mother? People were shocked.
Tell me a little bit about you and your mother's relationship.
But inside NFL walls, this is normal. Teams push players to see where they break. The combine is a chess match, and the players don't know the rules. And then there's the medical exam, arguably the most important part. You could run a 4.240. You could jump out of the stadium. But if your knee cartilage looks suspicious on an MRI, your draft stock collapses. Just like that. Years of work gone. So the big question is this: is the combine judging talent, or judging who can handle pressure under artificial conditions? And does that make sense? Some of the greatest players in NFL history had terrible combines. Jerry Rice was too slow. Tom Brady was too unathletic. Austin Eckler wasn't even invited. Cooper Kupp? People weren't impressed. Antonio Brown? Small, skinny, not strong enough. And yet, they became monsters on the field. So why do teams still trust the combine? Because they're not looking for superhumans. They're looking for patterns, habits, tendencies. The combine is about reading character, not numbers. But now we head into the most chaotic part of all. The part you see every year on TV that looks organized, scripted, and predictable. Except it's not. Before we move on, if you're learning something new about the draft, hit that like button and drop a comment saying more NFL deep dives. Alright, let's walk into the war room. Point 3. What really happens on draft day? Alright. Let's slow this down and make draft day simple. Most people think the NFL draft is clean and organized. You see the players dressed sharp, the families smiling, the commissioners shaking hands. But behind the scenes, draft day is like a busy market mixed with a chess game and a little bit of chaos. Let's break it down. Every team sits in a war room. It's literally a room filled with coaches, scouts, the GM, assistants, everyone. They have a giant draft board, a list of backup options, phones everywhere, and a limited time to make huge decisions. And yes, people argue inside the war room. One scout may want a quarterback. Another wants a defensive player. The head coach prefers someone else. It's pressure. And the clock is ticking. Teams lie a lot. Here's a simple truth. On draft day, every team is trying to trick every other team. They leak fake stories. They pretend they want a certain player so other teams panic. They hide who they really want. For example, a team might say they are not drafting a quarterback, but on draft night, surprise, they take a quarterback. Why? Because the NFL draft is a competition long before the season starts. Trades happen fast. You've seen it on TV. The pick has been traded. That's because teams make deals in seconds. Maybe their favorite player is still available. Maybe another team jumped ahead of them. Maybe they want more picks. It's like watching people play a game where the rules change every 5 minutes. Draft day is not about being 100% certain. It's about taking a chance. So draft day is the next one is even better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.